And good day, everybody, and welcome to the professors from McMurry University in Abilene, Texas. I'm Paul Fabrizio.
I'm Don Frazier.
And we are delighted to have today, with her big eyes right there. She's all excited. I guess this is your first appearance on one of these
TV
podcasts.
and radio.
TV and radio. Okay, well, we're glad you're here. Dr. Stephanie Scott, and she is the chair, let's make sure I get this right, of Curriculum and Instruction at McMurry University. Am I right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, very good. Well, we're so glad you're here. And what we want to do today is talk about teacher education. In other words, if there's somebody out there who's watching or listening and they want to become a teacher, how do they do it? You know? And so that's what we want to get into. But we want to start with learning a little bit about you. Where are you from? Where'd you go to school? How long you been at McMurry?
Well, excellent. This is my 9th year at McMurry, and I am originally from San Angelo, Texas, so just right down the road. Very similar to Abilene. I actually have about 14 years experience in the public school systems.
As a student or a teacher?
As a teacher.
As a student.
Thank you. That's
14 years. Now we get to guess which grades did she repeat?
Lots of experience there. That's why I'm such a good teacher. I actually graduated from Angelo State University with a degree in communications.
So you're part of the Ram fam.
I am part of the Ram fam. Didn't originally decide I wanted to be a teacher, and thought that I would go into advertising.
Okay.
And
that fits.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
communication
taught a little bit.
Yeah.
Did that for about 6 months, and it wasn't quite what I envisioned. It wasn't New York and TV. It was San Angelo and selling ads from a newspaper, and that's not exactly what I thought
Yeah,
that
that's
I
grim
wanted
work, man.
to
That is
do.
grim work.
So I went back and got my teaching certification in special education and taught a year in San Angelo. And then my husband and I moved to Abilene for work. And then I taught in the Abilene School District and in the Wiley School District. And in the process there, got a master's degree at Abilene Christian University.
A good
ACU,
school.
Wildcat High, absolutely.
And got my PhD from Texas Tech University.
And what is your PhD in?
It is in curriculum and instruction.
So it's an EDD?
No,
No, it's a
PhD.
PhD in CNI. Okay. Because there's a difference.
There is a difference.
What is the difference?
I don't know what the
One
difference
has
is.
a P and
I
one
do
has a
know
D.
that there's a difference in letters.
Yes, there's a difference in letters. Yeah, so PhD
Yeah.
is more theoretical and EDD is probably more pedagogical, I guess. I don't know.
Ooh, what pedagogical.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Well,
We use that word a lot
Yeah.
in our degree.
What does it mean? Pedagogy.
Pedagogy is like the study of children, and it's how you teach.
It's
The
how you
study of
teach.
teaching
It's a study of teaching.
and learning.
Okay, is it focused only on kids or does it work at the college level too?
No, it works at the college level too. It's just how people learn and teach, and a little bit of how they think. And you could do it at any age level.
Okay, so
Probably a little psychology involved in that and also practitioner skills.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So you at some point decided you want to be a doctor of philosophy, but in education. Why did you
Correct.
decide to do that? Since you were teaching before, that's a big jump to go and say, hey, I want to go get that PhD.
It is. I think that I am a person that gets bored easily. And I loved teaching in the public schools, but I wanted my influence to go bigger. And I felt like I could make more influence if I was to, I made influence in my classroom alone in the public schools. And I thought, how can I expand that influence? And so I thought, well, if I can teach people to be teachers, then not only am I just influencing this one classroom of kids each year, but I am influencing all of those teachers that I teach, and they are going out and influencing all of the classrooms that they teach. So the amount of students that I could actually reach would be profound.
So it's a multiplier effect.
Exactly. And so I
Goes-
love teaching, and that was a way to reach more students in the process.
Sounds like advertising.
Well, that's because that's my first degree.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
It's
advertising
number of
myself.
impressions.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about number of impressions here.
Yeah, okay. So then you came to McMurry,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're chair of the department. What do you teach?
My exact classes that I teach.
Yeah. I'm, for someone who doesn't know anything about education, you're going to go to be a teacher. What classes do you take? So
Yeah.
what do you teach?
Well, maybe the better question is, what's the pathway to becoming a teacher?
Maybe you guys need to come and take some classes in my
Yeah,
department.
May very well.
So maybe we could learn to teach.
we might be able to learn.
Yeah.
How to
We have a
teach.
program for you. But we can talk about that later. I'll tell you all about the different programs we have. If you want to be a teacher and you have a bachelor's degree, we can do that.
That's one of the things we want to learn.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
about that.
But
program.
that's a little bit later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's
We'll do
talk
that
about
in-
me right
Yes,
now.
it's
let's
all
talk
about you.
Okay. So what I teach is I teach a special education course.
Okay.
And what do you do if you are a regular teacher, but you have kiddos with maybe some special needs in your classroom?
Special needs, like
Disabilities.
so all the way from disabilities, but also like learning disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be someone that might be autistic or might be dyslexic, something like that.
Just any kind of differentiated learning. Like they just
Okay.
don't learn the same that everybody else does.
Sure,
It could be
okay.
something as insignificant as ADD, or something as significant as autistic, or
Cerebral
a mental
palsy or
challenge.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you're a regular ed teacher because that's the way that Texas is moving right now, anyways, is for inclusion and putting these kids in the regular classroom. And so you have these kids in your classroom, but you're not necessarily certified as a special ed teacher. So what do you do with them?
Sure.
And so I teach our students how to deal with that in their regular ed classroom. So that's probably one of my favorite classes that I teach. I also teach an early childhood class that is birth to 8 years old. And we teach a lot about child development and what you do with the little guys and how they develop and what you do with them when or how you teach a class for guys that have a lot of energy and their attention spans are very
Very
low.
short.
Yes.
And yes, exactly.
Like a kennel full of puppies.
But I kind of operate like that too. So I'm kind of like, well, what would I do? My attention span is this big. So it kind of works well with my personality. I teach a class which we refer to as block, but it's for our seniors and it's right before they go into student teaching.
So
And
theoretically, the fall of their senior year
or the spring,
or the spring.
because we do it both semesters.
Okay.
And it's like our pre-student teaching. So we put them out in the field and it prepares them to get ready to go into student teaching. And so it's a lot of putting all of those theories and those practices that we've talked about into practice and kind of reviewing. It's a summary of everything that they've learned the other 3 years that they've been here. And so
But not the content. I mean, not their teaching content. Y'all aren't covering that in the
No,
block.
I focus more on our elementary majors.
Yeah, okay.
And so their content is, they don't have to pick a specific content.
Okay.
I focus on elementary. In secondary, they pick a content field. And so we focus, the block is mainly for the pedagogy.
Okay.
So you teach them how to teach
Correct.
just before they actually have to
Have to
go
go
as
teach.
student teachers and teach.
Well, they're doing it the whole time. And the block is kind of to sum it all up for them
Okay.
and then let them practice a little out in the field.
Okay.
Keep the training wheels on.
Before we rip it off.
That's right.
As
Before we
student
yank them off
teaching.
and say,
That's right.
good luck.
That's
You're on your
right.
own, pal.
Now, we got a little bit more than a minute before we take our first break. Real quickly, is there any jobs available in teaching in the state of Texas? And you have a big smile on your
There are
face.
A lot of jobs.
There's a lot of jobs.
There's a lot of jobs. We are in a teacher shortage, a major teacher shortage right now in the state of Texas. And so you have a very good chance. We have a very high rate of teacher placement right now.
And where are the jobs? Are they
Everywhere.
everywhere?
Everywhere.
Big city, small
Most-
town.
Everywhere.
Down in the border, up in the Panhandle,
Everywhere.
out in the Permian Basin, out
Here
in
in
East Texas, here in
Abilene,
Abilene.
everywhere.
There's a shortage of teachers. Why is that? Do you know? Is it teachers don't get paid enough? I hate to bring that up.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Yeah. The tests are getting harder.
Yeah.
Teachers don't get paid enough, but it's a combination of a lot of things. And
It's hard work.
Yes.
it's very hard work. A lot of teachers
Holy
are
smoke.
retaring too, just
Okay.
in where we are in our generations, a lot of teachers are retiring, and there's an influx in kiddos. So a lot
Okay.
of reasons.
So we got to stop.
All right.
Okay.
So we're
We got the big
yeah,
signal.
we got the fist, yes.
The fist telling us to shut up.
But when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about that, rising student populations and shortage of teachers. We'll be right back.
Don't skip! Don't skip! Don't skip! Hello, my name is Christopher Bartlett. I'm the studio manager with the McMurry History Education Group, and you may be used to seeing my name in the end credits, or sometimes you'll see me sitting here as a special guest host. But right now, I'm here to talk to you about an amazing new opportunity. We have created a Patreon! To put it simply, if you enjoy the content on this YouTube channel, then you can head on over to Patreon, donate money to us, and become a patron. And through your donations, more content will be made. Basically, it breaks down like this. With $10, you will receive a short thank you video from Dr. Frazier and Dr. Fabrizio. With $25, you will be able to take part in a patron-only poll. With $50, you will get swag. These items include a choice between 2 prints of paintings and signed copies of Dr. Frazier's books, Blood on the Bayou and Thunder Across the Swamp. With $75, you will receive exclusive videos that will not be available anywhere else, not on YouTube and not on SoundCloud. These videos will be just for you, the patrons. With $100, your name will appear in the credits. See that right there? That's where your name can be. Finally, for $500, we will send you a signed collector's edition of Phil Collins' book, The Alamo and Beyond. Yes, it is signed by Phil Collins himself. And remember, for all the higher donations you do, you also get the stuff from the lower ones as well. So it's pretty cool. And when we reach our goal of $5,000, Dr. Frazier and Dr. Fabrizio will give you their own personal ranking of the presidents from worst to best. Coming from the perspective of a historian like Dr. Frazier and a political science expert like Dr. Fabrizio, you really don't want to miss their ranking and why they put them in that order. If you enjoy this content and want to see more, if you believe in our mission of making history accessible to everyone, then head on over to our Patreon and donate as much money as you're willing to give. You'll help us continue what we're doing, and you'll get amazing gifts as our way of saying thank you. Now we return to your regularly scheduled programming.
And we're back. You're listening to The Professors, a show about professing at McMurry University.
Is that what we
That
do?
we profess.
We profess.
And if you want to support what we're doing here, you just heard about our Patreon account. You can always support us. That keeps us rolling with content, keeps our student laborers laboring away. If you are interested in just listening to our program, you can go to SoundCloud or to Apple iTunes and just get the MP3 version of it. I'm often told I have a great face for radio, so if you don't want to see me on YouTube, fine. You can just listen to this charming Southwest Texas accent on SoundCloud or Apple's iTunes.
And you do have a unique voice.
I do have a unique voice.
Yes.
There's a whole story to that, but we won't unpack it now. Has nothing to do with like a football injury or anything cool. An
Okay.
arrow wound.
We got to work on that then.
Mhm.
All right. Our guest today is Dr. Stephanie Scott, and she is the chair of the Department of Curriculum and Instruction at McMurry University. And so we're talking about education and how to be a teacher and all that stuff. And we learned just before the break, there's plenty of jobs available in education. Are the jobs available at the elementary level, the high school level, anything in between, special
They're
ed,
available
ESL,
at all levels,
at all?
everywhere.
Just not the college level,
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
it turns
yeah.
out. Yeah, we've got all the people we need. So don't go get your PhD, but do get certified to
Do
teach.
Yeah,
get certified to teach.
Do you recommend teaching as a career?
You know, I do if you have a passion for it. If it's not what's in your heart and you don't enjoy doing it, it's probably one of the most miserable jobs you could ever have.
Preaching and teaching are both callings in my book.
I mean, it is definitely a service,
Yeah.
and it's if you don't have a servant's heart, and it's not what you want to do. We've counseled people out of it, their student teaching year, and it is a very hard job to do.
Yeah, teaching
But
just seems like it'd be
it's
a tough job.
if you don't want to do it, and there's nothing wrong with not wanting to do it, but if you don't want to do it, it's a miserable job.
How do you know that you do want to do it?
Well, I will tell you, we, from our very, very first class, our intro to education class, we put students out in the field. And we feel that is the best way to know is we don't care if you're elementary or you're secondary. We make you go to elementary and secondary schools alike. And that's how you know, is you just have to get out there and be exposed. And a lot of people think, well, I went to school, I know if I want to do it or not. And that is incorrect. It is different when you're sitting and looking at things from a teacher's perspective than when you're looking at things from a student's perspective. And so we put them in the field. They spend probably 100 to 200 hours out in the field before they ever even enter student teaching. And
that's a lot.
They usually know before they go out into student teaching if it's going to be something that they want to do. And that's what we want them to do, because if it's something for you, you will never be unhappy doing it. You won't get rich doing it, but you'll never be unhappy doing it. But if it's not something for you, then you will struggle being happy.
In the Civil War, they called that process seeing the elephant.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what it's going to be like going into battle for the first time. So you guys are letting them kind of wade in and see the elephant, as they say.
Now, here in the state of Texas, how does education work in the sense that if you want to be a teacher, do you choose what grade you want to teach? And then you go and get an education that way? Or how does this all work?
You do. Kind of.
Kind of. Okay.
You have to choose whether you go elementary or secondary.
Okay. Secondary meaning high school?
Meaning middle school or junior high. You have to choose a grade area. So like if you want to be an elementary teacher, you choose EC through 6. So early childhood through 6th grade. You can get a degree in that.
Okay.
So that means you can teach any grade between early childhood or pre-K and 6th grade. And you take a test for that. If you want
to take a test,
you go through all of your schooling, and at the end, you go through the state of Texas to get actual certified.
Yeah, certified to teach that level.
Okay.
It is out of the university's hands at that point.
You hope you've prepared them.
That's exactly right. The university does all of it can, which is us, to prepare you. And then you take 2 tests. You take a test on pedagogy.
Okay.
That
word again.
Teach,
yeah, we use that word a lot.
And then you take a test on all the content area. So the
Which
EC through 6 would be all the subjects, EC or pre-K through 6.
So a little bit of math, a little bit of science, a little bit of history, a little bit of writing.
Which would be EC through 6.
Okay.
Now, for the secondary people, if you want to teach junior high or high school or middle school, whatever they all are now, they choose a content area. So like for Dr. Frazier's area would be history.
Yeah, and that's a common
Yes.
area that
Especially
people
if
want
they're
to
going to be
teach.
coaches, as it
Yes.
turns out.
Yeah. So they would say, I want to get certified to teach 7 through 12 history. And so their major would be history, and they would minor in curriculum instruction. And so then their 2 tests that they would take after they do all of their classes would be the pedagogy test. And then they would take their content area of their history test. And if they pass those 2 tests, then they can be a teacher, but they can only teach grades 7 through 12 in history. They can't teach anything else.
They can't teach science.
Mm-mm.
They can't go down and teach elementary school.
Because
Have
they're
to
not
be
certified for that.
Differently certified for that.
But
then.
isn't there a difference between teaching kids in middle school and teaching kids in high school?
Yes.
But you can all be, there's one exam that covers the whole thing.
7 through 12?
Now, the pedagogy test covers all. The pedagogy test is EC through 12.
Okay.
So you are learning pedagogy for all ages.
Okay.
But content-wise, you can only teach whatever your content level is.
Okay.
And that's either EC through 6 or 7 through 12.
Well, there's also, for some subjects, there's a 4 through 8. If you
Just
only
to
want to
confuse
teach
us a little bit.
middle school.
If you only want to teach middle school, and I don't know why anybody would want to do that.
Some have that calling.
Some have that calling. Yeah, so cynical.
I would imagine it would be a real
I
calling.
did it, and I did love it.
Did you?
See?
For 4 years, I did.
Could you imagine teaching middle school? No, you teach.
Maybe. I think I could. High school would be a little rough.
I liked middle school better than high school.
Yeah.
I did.
Because you still kind of have their attention in junior
Yeah.
high.
They still kind of love you.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
In
Yeah.
high
The
school,
sixth graders.
it's like your own
The sixth
children. Once they hit high school, they despise their parents.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, they're still willing to, whenever you get ready to teach Sunday school, one of the old-fashioned prayers is, dear God, please prepare our audience to receive the lesson. In junior high, they're still prepared to receive the lesson.
But they lose that in high school.
They do lose that in high school.
And then they come to college.
And they've
That's a
spent
whole-
4 years
Big
going
one.
fallow. Yes.
That's a
They're like
whole
feral
nother-
children, yes.
That's a whole nother thing.
The lost children.
The lost children. Okay, we don't have time to ask you another question before we take our next break, but this is really interesting.
Yeah,
So-
I'm interested in all the different pathways to education. So,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that right after this break.
Bear Leader Tours. Where will Bear Leader Tours take you? Everywhere. Paris, Bruges, Trier, battlefields, Pearl Harbor, Pacific beaches, New Orleans. Join the adventure. www.mcwhinney.org.
Welcome to State House Press, a nonprofit publisher of quality books. State House Press and the McWhinney Foundation Press are part of the Texas A&M University Press Consortium, which handles retail distribution for several small but distinguished publishers. Our entire list of offerings, with pictures, summaries, prices, and easy online ordering, is available in our section of the consortium website. State House Press is proud of its reputation for high standards of scholarship and readability. In addition to this, we at State House Press have recruited the talents of individuals such as Phil Collins on his book, The Alamo and Beyond. We release not only texana by contemporary authors, but reprints of classic accounts of Texas life and history otherwise inaccessible to the public. Our book list also incorporates the publications of the McWhinney Foundation Press, specializing in the history of the Old South and the Civil War. We strive with our titles to make history accessible to as many readers as possible. To accomplish this task, we have recruited some of America's leading historians, as well as bright new scholars. We believe firmly in narrative history, in telling a good story, and in telling it well, without losing sight of the people who've made history and the events that changed a nation.
For questions or business inquiries, please visit the Texas Book Consortium at www.tamupress.com.
When you support McWhinney History Education Group, you also support the many young workers who operate and maintain the company's digital operations. These are dedicated university students who handle many things such as filming, recording, and editing content for McMurry, as well as cultivate the layout and structure of McMurry's various websites, including its associated channel on YouTube. We are a nonprofit organization that exists from donations from interested persons and history enthusiasts alike. Donations enable our students to obtain a higher education, job training, and career bolstering skills. If you would like to donate, please visit us at www.mcmurry.org and click on our About Us tab to learn more.
And we're back, and this is Paul Fabrizio, and
I'm Don Frazier, and we're with Stephanie Scott, and we're talking education.
yes, we are, and we're getting educated about
We
how
are.
to be an educator.
We're getting
Well, more correctly, is it we're getting
pedagogy. No, we
these-
have not been pedagogy
I
yet.
was trying to think how do you say that word?
I'm not sure that was
I
right.
struggled
We're
with that
good.
word
Yeah.
my whole time.
How do you turn that into a verb?
Yeah,
I've
I
been
don't know.
pedagogy.
I've been pedagogy.
Pedagogying me.
All right. So, Stephanie Scott, we're talking about how you go through and get certified to teach. And so what we learn is you take some classes, and at the end of it, you take a test. That's
tests.
two tests given by the state of Texas. And then after that,
What are those tests called, though?
They're called Texas, like TEXES.
Okay.
The Texas test. They're certification
oh, that's so
exams.
cute.
What's
Yeah,
the difference
and
between
Texas likes to do that kind of stuff.
What's
Yeah.
the difference between that and isn't there one called like the PCs?
PPR.
PPR. I almost said PCP, but that's,
Oh,
that's a
something
terrible.
else
That's a
called
terrible
education.
test. I don't think I would take that test. So the PPR. What's a PPR?
That's one of the certification exams. That's
Okay.
one of them. That it stands for. It
She
stands for
forgot what it-
something.
I bet professionals in there somewhere. One of the P's.
Pedagogy responsibility.
Whoa.
We have the
Pedagogical responsibility.
Pedagogical
So
responsibility.
is that the pedagogy test?
Yes,
Okay.
that is the pedagogy.
And the other
test.
one's the Texas exam.
No, they're
That's-
both the Texas exams.
Ah, but
So-
one's just the
so
Texas
ta-
PPR and the other
Yes.
Texas
Yes.
is
content.
the content.
Content.
Gotcha.
Correct.
And so
Okay.
what are the contents that you can become certified in? So history is obviously
Oh, well,
one.
there's a lot.
Okay.
McMurry only offers so many because it depends on obviously what departments we have here,
Sure.
and you pay to be able to certify at your university. We probably have, I don't know, 20 different things we can certify in here.
So English, math,
English, math, history, social studies.
my subject.
I'm trying to think of. There's a lot. Life science,
Yeah.
biology.
Economics.
Psychology, economics, are those possible?
No,
No, those-
psychology is not.
How does that make you feel?
I don't care.
I think it's your parents.
All I care about is political
all about your
science. to
parents.
me.
Well, because you have to think of
Well,
the
yes, it
things
is.
that that would be out in the public school for somebody to teach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so art,
Art,
music.
yes, I'm sorry, art, music. We get a lot of
Weapons
music that
design
comes
is probably
through.
not out there. Yeah.
um,
Art and music.
art is we get a lot of
Yeah,
art
we make a
majors,
lot of band-
a lot of music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Band
We
directors.
have a lot of band that comes through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the way to teach like music, the pedagogy,
Yes.
the same as you would teach like history? Or-
Pedagogy is really the same no matter what.
Okay.
Because the way that you teach and you learn is going to be the same no matter what your content is. Now, I mean, some would argue with
Okay.
that. I will say that. But the way a child learns is going to have the same basic concepts. Now, your content
He's
obviously
looking at me.
They'll
He's like,
shovel it in their
is
skull.
going to be a little bit different. And yes, music might have some unique qualities, whereas art might have some unique qualities because there's a lots of hands-on that goes into
Sure.
that.
There's some
Um,
skills.
Right. But the pedagogical concepts are going to be basically the same on the development of a child and the way a child
Okay.
learns.
So the
regardless
subject
of the
doesn't
content.
matter so much. It's more, this is how kids learn. And so you need to understand how
It's
kids learn.
it's like a child learns like we all learn. We all have different learning styles.
Right.
That's a pedagogical technique, or not a technique, but a
Concept.
Concept. Thank you. We all learn better if we use different strategies. Some of us learn better audio. Some of us learn better by hands-on. If you give anybody a manipulative, they're going to learn
A what?
better. A manipulative, like something to work with.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So if
Like you give students.
A musket.
Okay.
okay.
You take a
Maybe.
musket, you
Not
learn a lot
something-
about muskets by just handling a musket.
Okay,
Nuts.
you show people a picture of a musket, or you bring in a real musket. Which one are they going to learn better?
Correct.
The real one.
Exactly.
And-
Unless they're artists.
No.
Right?
No,
No,
not
they
necessarily.
still-
You
they're
gotta
gonna
hold it,
draw a
yeah.
better
And they got
picture
dimensions. Come
by
on.
seeing the real musket
And
than by
then
looking at a picture
If you
of
take
a
them
musket.
out in the field and let them load and fire the musket, then they know
have
a
more
lot about
senses
it.
going on.
That's
So
right.
the more senses that are involved in something, the more they're going to learn from it. That's a
make them lick
pedagogical
it.
concept.
Go taste the musket.
Okay.
Some
They
of our
do
kids
strange
would
things in
listen.
history, don't they? Okay. Licking
So
the
does
musket.
pre-K. They really would listen.
They
would, but that's-
they'd be licking all over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's a pedagogical concept, regardless if you're in music or if you're in history.
Okay. So that it doesn't matter the subject area.
Correct.
What matters is that you understand the concepts to it.
Correct.
Is there any others that you want to share with us? I mean, this is
Like
really
show a
interesting.
man to fish
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Teach him.
Then he'll fish for life or
That's right.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
about that.
Is there other concepts you want to share? Yes.
I mean, I have lots of those
Good,
kind of
good.
stories, but I mean, some of them really aren't appropriate for TV or radio. I used to teach pre-K.
Well,
I mean, there's
Dawn?
a lot of
Oh, really?
interesting ones.
Wow, you're making education seem so much more interesting.
Yeah.
It is interesting. You
All
would
right.
not believe the stories we tell.
So, what is the pathway?
Please share.
How
with
does
us.
somebody get from
Okay,
know,
so
right off the street
yeah,
to in
there's,
the classroom?
there's a high school student out there who says, "I want to become a teacher. I love the idea of teaching." What do they do?
Well, they apply to be a student at McMurry.
Okay.
Step one. So you
They get
apply.
accepted. They start taking classes. Oh, I wasn't supposed to hit that. I'm
No.
sorry. They start taking classes, and they.
She's a tactile learner.
I am very much. They can choose whatever major they want, as far as if they want to be an elementary major or if they want to be a secondary major. If they are a secondary major, they have to pick a subject area: history, biology,
cetera.
da 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 da. If they're elementary, they'll be EC through 6. Their minor must be curriculum and instruction, no matter what their major is, because curriculum instruction is how you get your certification.
Okay.
Um,
So you start preparing them for those certifying exams from the very beginning then.
yes, from their very first.
Well, at
class.
least for the PPR,
You're good.
because we do the content.
That is very
Yes.
correct. Very correct.
This is
So-
very important to Dawn.
It is
Y'all
very
have
important
learned
to
so
me
many great concepts.
because we have
And now you're-
conversations about this
You're
all
going
the
to
time.
start using your 5 senses every time you talk now, because now you know some pedagogical.
But we're not
strategies.
going to lick the table or anything like
I
that.
mean, you can.
You could.
We won't.
You can use those strategies.
Yeah,
You
to
could
see if
lick
they learn more.
stamps in
Yeah.
support of a candidate in a poli sci
No, we
class.
have sample ballots. We just read those.
Well, then
we
you have
touch
to
them and read
gum
them.
it and
Yeah.
put it on.
Okay.
One thing I will say is very
That's
important
tasting it.
is if a student comes in and they want to be a coach,
Yeah. Well,
Dun
that's-
dun
that's-
dun. Because
that's-
there's a lot of them.
There's
in my
a lot of
program.
there's
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
You cannot just be a coach. You won't get a job.
Really?
Yes, really. You need to pick a teaching field too.
Really? So what about kinesiology? That's a strong major here.
Yes, and you need to pick a teaching field too. So you need to go through our program and pick a teaching field as well.
Is
So-
kinesiology is not a teaching field?
No, yes, it is. They can do all level PE. They can be.
So if you want to be a PE teacher,
You can do a
you have to
PE
do
teacher and a
kinesiology.
coach, but I will tell you, the PE coaching. I mean, PE coaches are few and far between in this world, because the people that have those jobs keep those jobs until they retire or die.
Because they're really
Really
fit.
fit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they're
exactly.
climbing ropes all the time. They have the
And
whistle
they
around
want
their
those
neck.
jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're out there and you want to be a coach and the high school, you can't just be a coach.
No.
You have to be a teacher.
Yes.
Now, are there any teachers that don't have to be coaches in the history business?
Well, that would be your call. You tell
Oh,
me.
man. Very few and far between, seems to me.
Yeah. So they really, I mean, and that's one thing really that like freshmen or sophomore come to us and they're like, I want to be a coach. I'm like, you can't just be a coach. You need to pick a subject area to major in.
Why is that? Why can't we just hire coaches? I'm
Because school districts don't have enough money to just hire coaches. They need them to do double duty and to teach classes as
Unless
well.
it's head coaches. I don't know that head coaches teach anything, do they?
I would imagine that would depend on the school, right?
I think a lot of times they do
Really?
as well, unless they're the athletic director.
Okay.
Hmm.
So you have to have a teaching field then.
Yes.
So therefore, if you want to be a coach, you still need to look at a subject. What do you want to coach? If you want to be a high school coach, it's got to be a subject that's taught in high school. Wow.
So, I mean, you've got to do some thinking before you come in. So you think that, oh, I played football all the way through high school. I want to be a coach. Well, you're emphasizing the football, but you have de-emphasized what your coach actually taught. And that's the big difference that I see certainly with my students in the classroom. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to pick this up right after this message.
History has become one of the most fought-over battlegrounds in terms of shifting people's views and opinions about their country. In response to this, we have decided to launch a website called Go To History that will become your home for clear-eyed history content. Our objective is to put history out there, free of agendas, and allow you, the viewers, to decide what you believe and decide how to interpret this information. With experienced professors such as Dr. Don Frazier and Dr. Stephen Harden teaching courses and creating agenda-free content for students and just plain history enthusiasts, the content of Go To History is vastly informative and unbiased.
History people, it's Phil Collins here. I am just giving a shout out to a couple of guys that you're going to be hearing from. And they're good friends of mine, but they're also incredibly knowledgeable historians. Dr. Donald Frazier and Dr. Stephen Harden. Both great friends of mine, both helped me out with my book on the Alamo. And two guys, if you don't know much about history, these are the first two guys you should go to. Okay, what they don't know isn't worth knowing. Don Frazier, Steve Harden, I hope you enjoy their presentations.
My name is Devin Williams, a history major at McMurry University, and I love the layout of the Go To website. I mean, it is singularly built from the ground up with user convenience in mind. Every study available is within a single Courses tab, with each lesson having a single page for each of its individual videos, text, visuals, and quizzes, all at easy grasp. This is most definitely history made simple.
Please log on to www.gotohistory.com. This portion of the show is reserved for advertisements. If you are interested in filling this portion with ads for your business, please call 325-793-4686 or email director@tfhcc.com.
And we're back, and you are watching The Professors, or you might be listening to The Professors on SoundCloud or Apple iTunes, because we're putting it out there three different ways. One, if you want to gaze upon our magnificence. If you just want to listen to our magnificence, then you can go to SoundCloud or to Apple iTunes. And if you just like what you're hearing, you can support our efforts through Patreon. Patreon is a way for you to continue to help us cash flow this program and keep student employees employed as we produce this program right here in Abilene, Texas. So 3 ways you can help.
Do I have to call
Patreon,
you?
you can watch it. What? No, you don't have to call it all.
No, do I have to call you magnificent?
No, heavens,
just wondering.
not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah,
I'm
Okay.
working on my magnificence. But so you
Okay.
can support us through Patreon. You can listen to us on SoundCloud and also on Apple iTunes, or catch us on YouTube if you want to see our magnificence.
All right. Stephanie Scott, we're delighted you're here sharing in our magnificence.
Oh, apparently.
Yeah. You've elevated our magnificence.
This is fabulous.
Yes. So we're talking about curriculum and instruction and how you become a teacher. So what if I already have a degree? And in other words, like what you went through, you had a degree
Yeah.
in communication, and then you said, I want to be a teacher. How do you go and do that now?
Well, McMurry is very unique in that we have a program for you, if that's
Okay.
what you want to do.
Dun, dun, dun.
Not many universities, in fact, I do not think any of the universities in Abilene have this program. I think we're unique to this. We have what's called a fast track. And if you already hold a bachelor's degree, you have to already have a bachelor's degree. You may come back to McMurry, or you don't have to, it does not have to be from McMurry. And it doesn't matter what your bachelor's degree is in.
So I've got an ag science degree from Texas A&M. I'm tired of schlepping chemicals
Whatever.
in the field.
You're
Yeah,
right.
and I want to teach.
Correct. You can come and talk to the education department, curriculum instruction,
Yeah.
but we're really just education. It's a lot easier to remember and
Sure.
say. Come talk to us, and we can get you hooked up with getting a teacher certification. Now, we have a program that we are about to launch where you can actually do that all online.
Oh, wow.
Right now, our program.
So you could be a farmer outstanding in your field and actually go online.
You invited me because you knew I'd laugh.
That's
at
right.
that. Yeah.
Easy
okay,
mark.
Yeah.
That's why he's magnificent.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
part of my
That-
magnificence.
that's a good
Certainly a
one.
party trick.
Um,
Superpower. I don't know.
right now, we do have a program that's already existing where you can go through and you can take your classes in the summer, and which leads to either an internship or you do student teaching. Internship means you are a teacher of record to where you get paid. But we are about to launch the program in January to where you can actually do the program online.
Wow.
And so that frees up a lot of people that aren't able to actually quit their current job
Sure.
until they already have another one lined up.
How would they do the student teaching?
The student teaching, they would still have to, I mean, if you choose student teaching, you would have to quit your job in order to do student teaching.
But can you do student teaching online?
No, you still
Okay.
have to do that in a school district.
Okay.
Okay.
But it
But-
could be a local school district.
Correct.
Okay.
Where
Right.
you live instead of where we live. Now, hopefully, it would lead to an internship. You just have to find a district that would allow you to do that. An internship, the difference in education is an internship is paid and it's a year long. So they would actually pay you as a first year teacher.
Oh, wow. So you could be in
instead of-
Beeville, Texas, do this online program through McMurry, and then
Correct.
do your internship over in Alice or someplace in South Texas. And
as
that's
long
a
as it's
pathway.
a TEA approved school. Correct.
Okay.
so
Now-
why would they pick McMurry to do this over some other place?
Because not a lot of places, not a lot of universities have a program like
All right, so for starters, we're some of the firstest with the mostest.
Okay. And we only have a few minutes left, but there was something else you wanted to talk about. Yes.
We
You're
just
excited
started,
about that.
and this one is very, very new to a lot of places in Texas. We have a new program called Aids to Teach. This just started this fall. It is a program where if you are an aide in our local school districts, local meaning really the big country area.
Region 14
mhm.
or larger.
If you're a paraprofessional or an assistant working in the school districts, one of our school districts, we have developed a program to where you can come to McMurry and we offer classes online or at night, and they can actually work towards getting their teaching certification in EC through 6.
Wow.
We're offering reduced tuition for them, and all their classes online or at night. We started the program just this fall, so we're 6 weeks into it, anticipating 5 students, and we have 18 students.
Wow. Big demand.
Yes,
Yeah, so
it's
there's
been fabulous, and we will continue this program. So it's a way that we have the AISD superintendent 100% behind us and backing it. It's a way that people that already know the field can get out there and get their certification. And a lot of them have been working in the field for 10 or 15 years already, wanting to get certified, but they can't afford to quit their job
To go get a bachelor's
while
degree.
they're doing
Yeah.
it. Correct.
Yeah. So both people who go through that program or who go through that post-baccalaureate program, they still have to take the certifying exams, right?
Correct.
So they still have to have the same
They would have the
certification.
exact same qualifications and certifications that any regular teacher would.
And their certification wouldn't look any different.
Correct.
Okay.
But this is EC through 6. So it's a little tough to do that. Because, well, I mean,
Now,
do you
the
even
one with the bachelor's degree, the fast track, does not have to be EC through 6. It can be anything. But the aids to teach is only an EC through 6 program.
Well, and I caught
this
myself
time.
because I don't remember seeing teachers' aides in junior high and high school, but they may be there.
There are some. They're
Yeah.
probably just not as prevalent as they
Okay.
are on the EC through 6 campuses.
Okay. Is there any other programs or any other things you want to emphasize in our last 2 minutes or so?
I think I mean, really, those are our 2 big things going on right now in curriculum instruction.
2 minutes, you meant 1.
Well, I meant 1 minute. I
1 minute,
apologize. I can't read fingers or something like that. I
But
don't
this
know.
has been wonderful. I've really enjoyed being here
Yeah.
with y'all's
Well, I mean-
magnificence.
And,
And I've got to
basking
teach
in it.
y'all what pedagogy
Pedagogy
is.
We've learned a lot about that.
Well, and it's interesting to, this is a useful way to get our potential students to understand what she's doing, in an easily digestible format, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Do you have any final words of wisdom for people out there
That
who
want to
might
be a
interested?
teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That one caught me off guard.
Well, that's all right. It's tough biz.
Yeah.
That they're getting into,
It's a
but-
really tough business. Yeah. I mean, I don't, but if it's something that you're interested in, I just invite you to explore it because it's a beautiful profession if it's what's in your heart.
Perfect. That's a great way to wrap it up.
That really is.
Class dismissed.